my brother and I were taught how to play chess at the age of 3 by our uncle. So
Many adults can't even figure that out.
Yeah, so if you ask my friends will always tell you, if there's a loophole, Jimmy will find it. I've taken that strategy into boxing, school, I mean, you name it.
That sounds like, to me, that was like your core backbone of all of these things.
It really is.
If you were to meet him casually on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon or evening, whether at a grocery store or at a park, you would think that maybe this guy is a boxer, or you would even maybe venture out and say that he does powerlifting competition, he does strongman competition, or maybe the fact that he plays arena football. The reality is, not only has he done all of those things, but this is the same guy that would sit with you at your dinner table and talk to you about your financial success. He would touch your heart on how and what you can do to set up a legacy behind for the loved ones. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Jimmy Abraham. He has earned a degree from University of Houston in Bachelor of Science. He also has been an entrepreneur, a business owner for the past 11 years. Prior to that, he was a marketing manager for an exporting firm. And today, we are going to get to know him and learn his journey of entrepreneurship. Welcome to the channel, Jimmy.
Thank you for having me, Aamer.
Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out. One of the first things to learn about you is just your childhood, where you're from, and how did you come about into this business? I know you were born and raised in Queens, New York.
Yeah.
All right. Give us a little bit about your life in Queens.
So I was born Queens, New York. Queens is New York is a whole different beast in a sense, right?
Okay.
And Queens, growing up in Queens, we lived in a one-bedroom apartment with close to 7 people.
Wait, 1 bedroom and 7 people?
One-bedroom apartment with 7 people. My parents just got there a couple years ago. My mom, they were initially in Houston. They moved back to New York because she got a nursing license there.
Okay.
So we had her grandma, and my grandma, 2 uncles, and my dad's mother and father, my grandmother and grandfather, living with me, my brother, my sister, my mom, and my dad at the time.
Wow, okay.
And at some point, my mom's brothers had come down to sit with us, to stay with us. And the way we made it work was, I remember we had a big living room in the one-bedroom apartment. We separated the living room.
Man, that's got to be one huge living room to occupy 7+ people.
So we separated the living room into 2 rooms with a TV wall unit, and that was
TV wall unit.
Yeah, so it's such a where you keep your collectibles and your TV.
Okay,
it was big back in the 80s.
Right. Okay.
So that's how we made the second bedroom for my grandma, and then.
So you're just splitting up the floor plan. Okay.
And I was sleeping in the room with my parents at the time, with my younger brother and my sister, and we made it work. Back in, this is when my family really didn't have a lot of money, but at the end of the day, they were just starting off. So I think that essentially you could call it humble beginnings, but that taught me a lot about how close our family was, the meaning of family, the meaning of essentially of love between us. No matter what, no matter how little we have, we had each other at the end of the day. So that's where I came from to the suburbs of Sugar Land now.
Okay, so go back to your family life. I want to know a little bit more about that. So there's 7 of you in this tiny apartment, and you said you have siblings, correct?
Yes.
I believe you have a brother and a sister.
So I have a brother that's 11 months younger than I am. We're practically raised as twins to a certain age. Then I got a younger sister that's 4 years younger than I am.
Okay. So you're the eldest out of the.
I'm the eldest.
And then all three of you born and raised in
born
the
and
US,
raised
in
the
Queens,
US,
in New York.
Queens, New York, and then essentially when I believe when I was a little bit young, about 8 or 9 at the time, we moved out to Houston,
to Texas.
Yeah, to Texas.
All right. So essentially, the three of you are the first generation being born here. Your parents were born and raised elsewhere.
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you can remember back, you said by the time you had moved to Texas, you were about 8, 9 or so.
Yeah.
What is one memory besides the crazy living room situation and all of that? What is one memory would you say that you have of being in Queens, being in New York, that that you could say, man, that was definitely Queens. That's something that I will never forget. One memory, one incident, one situation that you always think about when you think of Queens.
One of the biggest memories I have is Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
In that 1-bedroom apartment. My mom is essentially kind of the anchor point for our extended family.
Got it.
So we would always host parties at her, I would love to say house, but it was 1-bedroom apartment.
Right. Very creative, but I love it.
Yeah. So she would, everybody, I mean, her uncles, my cousins, we at one point, I remember, like, if I counted my head correctly, we somehow crammed 30 people.
Whoa.
For Thanksgiving.
Is this like some kind of a challenge or?
We made it work. Everybody just,
Guinness
we
World
loved
Book of
each other's
Record
company.
Or something.
Yeah, we loved each other's company. People, it was a simpler time where everybody's starting off somewhere.
Correct.
And we loved having each other's company. So I remember my little cousins would come over, my uncle, and we made it work somehow. And I remember my mom, this is when the microwave just had come out. If you had a microwave.
Okay, what year is this? Give us a time frame. Like what year?
I want to say it's about 87, 88,
okay.
89.
Got it.
Right? And like if you had a microwave in your apartment or in your home.
You were like wealthy or something.
You made it. You had made it, right?
You made it. Okay.
So I still remember when they got the microwaves, like, we're gonna make turkey in the microwave.
Nice.
We're gonna make turkey in the microwave for Thanksgiving. And my mom, I mean, she made it happen. I remember we had the turkey that she made in the microwave. It had to be a convection microwave. I don't know how you cook
Interesting.
it. And she made enough food for 40 people, and it was the best time. Like, in the sense that there's nothing surface about it. There was a deep level of connection and love between everybody in the family.
I mean, you guys were so close.
Yeah, and
physically,
nobody had much, right? If somebody had a bigger house, we would have had it at their place. But my mom, because she served as an anchor to the family, we had it at our apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So now, as your parents came out to Texas, I'm assuming because of financial reasons, some opportunities, job, employment, something.
The main reason we made the move down here was my parents, when they originally came to the U.S., they had first went to Houston.
Okay.
And my dad worked as a welder for the ship channel back in the day.
Welder, so like physical, hands-on
labor.
Well,
he put together the cranes that I think they still use them to this day. There's some of the cranes that
he's built or
that he's helped weld. Yeah, so he's a TIG welder. So,
and that's a profession he had prior to coming over, or something he acquired?
That's something he learned on his own, right?
Here in the U.S.
Actually in the Middle East.
In the Middle East, okay, got it.
Yeah, he was in Sharjah. He worked for the ship channel in Sharjah as well. So he learned how to weld.
So he had that skill set coming into the country.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
So when he originally came, when they first moved here, they went to, my dad and my mom, they first went to Houston. And they decided, look, no matter what the opportunities we get outside, if we move to New York, we're always going to come back here and raise our kids here.
Okay.
So when my brother and I and my sister, she was about a year or two, my mom decided, look, we don't have the best access to schools here.
Okay.
Houston is where we really want to be. There's more opportunities there. They had the medical center. My mom was a nurse.
Oh, okay.
She still is a nurse. And so we decided, look, we'll make the move. And my parents' plan was, look, to give the kids a better life.
There you go.
We got to go to Houston.
Right.
And New York, I love it. City's still part of my heart, but at the end of the day, it's a very tight community in the sense that you really don't have any space to move around. So when you come to Houston, Texas is huge. Texas is essentially its own country, right? That's how big it is.
It's huge, correct.
So that's how we came down to Texas for better.
So you came here about the age of 8, 9 or so.
Yeah.
Spent elementary here, junior high, high school, college. Which give us a little bit about some of the things you've done. Played arena football, lifting competitions. What's all that about?
So when I was in high school, my dad was a big track guy, track and volleyball. He was a pro volleyball player back in India.
Okay.
So athleticism, like being in sports, was part of my family.
Being competitive,
essentially.
Got it.
And when we came down here, we finally got the space to move around, run around.
Hopefully out of the one bedroom.
Out of the one bedroom, yeah, into a much nicer house, right?
Okay.
And when we moved down here, we started. I mean, growing up, we were very inactive, but once we got to middle school, my brother and I kind of found our own way. We started working out at the local YMCA. I picked up lifting from there, and I picked up. You know what? I learned it from 3 mentors. Guys are like my 3 dads outside of my own family.
Okay.
That raised me up, taught me how to lift, be an athlete, and it was a little community that helped develop my love for sportsmanship. So once I graduated high school, I played a little bit of football in high school. I was also in track. I was also part of the chess club and orchestra. So I was all over the place.
Got it.
My mom was one of those people who's like, look, if you have the mental capacity to do what you love, you might as well go out there and explore it and find what you love first. So my mind is like my dad's in the sense that I can do whatever I want. It's just as long as I have an interest in it, there's no limitations.
Right.
So once I got into college, there was a local arena league team, a league association. They needed some players for one of their teams, and I wanted to try it out. Made the team, and I played defensive back for 2 seasons.
Okay.
I loved it, and but decided I don't want to take the hits to the head anymore.
Too many concussions.
Yeah, so I left that and decided to do boxing. I got drug into boxing because I had a buddy of mine. He wanted to be a pro MMA fighter. So I had boxing when I was younger too. One of the memories I have when I was younger is my dad taking me to Gleason's boxing gym in Brooklyn. It's a icon in the boxing community, right? So I always learned how to box. My uncles would teach me how to box back in New York. So as a young kid, I know how to throw some punches. And when I was in college, I started picking up, getting a little bit more serious. And I would actually spar with a lot of the pro fighters at the local gyms.
Okay.
And I developed a love for boxing. So I went from arena league football to boxing, and to then lifting was always part of what I did.
Somewhere, in between.
Yeah, so then I transitioned into strongman competitions because I started lifting very heavy from a young age because I grew up with guys having mentors, guys that are a lot older that lift heavier than you. You always aspire to be them. I never
go to the next level.
Yeah, go to the next level. So I never realized that I had so much power with them because coming from our community, we don't have any heavy lifters. We don't have any icons to look up to. But these guys taught me how to get to that route. And so I started powerlifting more. And me and my brother and I, we were very, very strong as kids. We elevated pretty fast. So it was surprising to me because no one ever told me, hey, you could be this strong whether you're 17 or 18 years old. And I remember squatting, whether it be 405, 500 pounds.
Right.
So then naturally I went into powerlifting and strongman competitions, transitioned into strongman competitions for a little bit. I hit the scene and included everything from flipping heavy tires to carrying outlet stones that weighed 200, 300 pounds. It's just, the sky's the limit with those guys. We're pulling Hummers and trucks. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, it appealed to me at the time, right? So, and after that, it kind of just, I'll train for boxing every once in a while. I don't spar as much anymore, but I still lift. And it's just being an athlete in a sense it's going to be a big part of me. It helps me stay motivated, not only in my work life, my personal life, and helps me develop as a person. There's that that level of discipline I've learned from sports that I carry well onto other aspects of my life.
Correct. Being an entrepreneur, definitely got to have discipline. But it sounds like to me, as you're growing up, not only are you going out and doing all these physical activities, but you're saying you also were part of a chess club, a team or something?
Yeah, so my brother and I were taught how to play chess at the age of 3 by our uncle.
3?
3.
You know all the chess pieces and
how to move,
all the limitations, things that can or can't do.
So
many adults can't even figure that out.
I think it's easier for kids to figure out. If they're interested, it's easier to teach them because there's no roadblocks positive them, right? So my uncle, he taught us because he had nobody else to play with. He was a big chess guy. And I remember being taught that at such a young age. Even to this day, when people ask me, like, how do you think the way you do? I was like, look, chess has a huge impact on the way I think because there's always more than one way to move a piece and win a game. So that's how I view life. It's always like
I like that analogy. Okay.
Yeah. So if you ask my friends will always tell you, if there's a loophole, Jimmy will find it, right? And it's true.
Solutions. Waiting to be found.
Loophole solutions. There's always more than one way to do it, and then that's chess has. I've taken that strategy into boxing, school. I mean, you name it. Chess has developed my mind on another spectrum.
That's amazing. So the whole physical aspect of you lifting and playing football, this and that, goes back to actually applying your mental ability. That sounds like to me that was like your core backbone of all of these things.
It really is. It's especially I always tell people I teach how to box. I was teaching pro MMA fighters at one time how to box. And I always tell them, look, the best boxers are the ones that think strategically. You could be heavy-handed, you could be fast on your feet, but if you're not a smart boxer, you won't make it past certain rounds.
Got it.
Like, so I've taken that and just
theory, that concept, and you've applied
every aspect of my life.
So you moved out to Houston, school, high school. You went to University of Houston, graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science.
Bachelor of Science. It was I was at the time I was focused more on getting into law school. So it was poli-sci was my focus.
Okay, political science.
But once I graduated, I shifted into my career because.
Yeah, so give us a little bit about you were playing a role of a marketing manager for an exporting firm.
Yeah.
How does that then transition into being a business owner, starting a financial firm?
So when I first started, when I was in college, I would work at a local. It was a scrub store. Essentially, they did everything from they imported hospital scrubs.
Correct.
Luxury furniture, Oriental rugs, and when I started with him, he had a pretty big factory, like a warehouse at the time, where he would import all the items, and he would sell to wholesalers. And when I came in, he started. The owner at the time would kind of ask me about, okay, how can we expand our online presence?
All right.
Can we get, because websites at the time, it's like 2002, 2003.
Yeah, give us the time frame. What year is this?
2002, 2003.
Okay.
This is around when I'm in college.
So the e-commerce business is just starting to like.
It took a dip. It took a huge hit in '99. Okay. Right? And now it's like, now people are building their websites come back up.
Okay.
But it's still
dot-coms boomed in the mid-90s, 96, 97.
Exactly.
Went down, thing kind of crapped out, and this is starting to come back up.
Exactly. So I knew more than he did, and essentially I shifted from being like a stock boy in college to I worked my way up, became the marketing director in the sense that we started making partnerships with a lot of the companies and distributors within the area. Then we made an online presence. I helped develop a website for them, and I expanded his network so much more,
right?
In that role, and took it to another level. But and eventually he sold the company, and the new owners took in. We had different views on how to run the business.
Okay.
But at that point, I had graduated college already, so I decided, okay, it's time for me to find something, do something that I, like find a niche in the market, something that I'm really passionate about.
But why the financial industry, or why not go out and get a traditional W-2 job, corporate job? Why being an entrepreneur where your income, your livelihood, your financial success is all on you?
So I'll tell you what. When my parents moved here back in the late '90s, they had opened up home health care for dialysis patients.
Okay.
And I remember my mom came home with 2 days into it. They had somebody else outside vendor doing their medical billing for them, but they were paying them too much. They're like, look, we're just starting out, so we can't really afford.
What year is this now?
It's around '99.
Okay.
So they bring the big binder home, and I'm learning. So she's like, look, see if you can learn how to do medical billing.
Okay.
And I started learning how to do medical billing. So I started doing that for them for the business.
Okay.
And that kind of elevated into, so once the business started earning money, I remember my parents struggled in finding the right person to manage their finances. Like what else can we do it? What investment should we put it in? How can we protect our assets? Different things like that.
Ah, okay.
So, and I started seeing that not only they had that problem, uncles were having the problem, and as I got to college, I started seeing like my friends were having that problem as well. And I saw a niche in the market, but I realized it's not about finding the person with the right expertise. It's about finding the person that does have the expertise, but you can trust as well. And I knew that for me, I could be that asset to them going forward. So how can I do it? And that's when I started interviewing, kind of looking into, okay, what does this industry entail? How can I be a resource for them?
Okay.
And that's how I started.
Got it. So when you first started off the business, at the age of about roughly,
I would say 22, 23.
22, 23, very early on into your 20s. Yeah. How often did people doubt you or question you? Man, this is going to be tough. It's going to be a struggle. You're not going to make it, or this and that. Anything where it wasn't so positive?
You know what? My family and friends have always been pretty supportive of me. Okay. I wasn't a bad kid growing up, and they know my discipline level and my personality. I would get pushbacks every once in a while from my mom because the expectations that I had from my parents were like so high sometimes that if I was barely making it at my current job, she'd be like, okay, do you think this is the right job? Can't you just go do something else?
Right, make more money.
Yeah, where's the security? And really at that time of my life, I'm still figuring out the industry, figuring out who my niche clientele are, and understanding like how can I present myself. So when you first start out, it's pretty tough. And my parents saw the struggle, and parents, because they love you, they want you to have, I think ultimately most parents want for their children is security. And that's what my mom wanted. And I would have a little bit of pushback, but everybody else were ready. They're like, look, we trust you. Like, we need you. So do what you got to do.
So you're saying you did have the support in your case?
I did.
Now, besides them, throughout this journey of owning a business for the past decade plus, how many times is it that you've wanted to quit and throw in the towel and say, man, I can't do this. I can't handle it no more. I'm done. I got to move forward. I got to do something else. This is not for me. So how many of those moments did you have?
So I'll tell you, I started in the business. I got my first job. I won't mention the company, but I started in the business first week of September 2008. For most people that live in Houston, especially Texas, they'll remember September 2008. Within a week of me starting, I started in the second week of September. Within a couple of days of me starting, Hurricane Ike hits Houston.
Ike.
Okay.
Houston, very well known for all the flooding, hurricanes.
Oh, we get hit hard. So
not fun times.
I'm barely there 4 days at the first job, and now we got a whole week of like off time because no one could get anywhere. The streets are flooded. People are still like recovering. So I remember there was like a whole week. There was 5 days I had no electricity at the house. My manager was at his place. He's like, "Hey, stay put. No one's going to the office. Office is shut down for a whole week." So that's I believe that was September 8th or something. So or September 13th. Hurricane Ike hits. I'm there for 3 days. Then I go home. I'm off for a week. Then I come back. Right after everything's settled, the manager's like, "Okay, it's safe for everybody to come back. We'll start set up shop again."
Okay.
We come back. September 29th rolls around. Market takes a tank. All right.
Okay.
So
so bam, boom, boom.
Yeah, I'm not even licensed yet. Right. I'm still on my desk studying for my securities license.
Not even. Okay.
And my group 1 at the time, and I'm like, oh, market took a tank. I see the company stock go from $75 like a couple days before down to $10 a share.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know if
what did I just do?
Yeah. Is this
what am I about to do?
Yeah, because at that point, you're thinking, you're going in, oh man, market's good.
Rah.
I don't know anything about investments. I'm like, oh, all you see is like it's always a positive market, right? So I see that, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is the right job. I want to quit right on the spot. You know what? Like I'm a couple days into it. They're paying for me to study and train, so I'm gonna stick it out. So I stick it out. Finally get my licenses, and I started off pretty decent. Then and I still remember this. I'm sitting in my office window, going through a little bit of the training, and I think it was middle of February, early February, 2009.
Okay. All right.
I look out the window, and our office at the time overlooked the Galleria. I see helicopters circling around the Galleria.
Okay.
And I'm like, what's going on now, right? Stanford Financial is being raided.
Oh, nice.
It's another Ponzi scheme after they got the big guy in New York. And I see the helicopter, and all my friends are looking at each other like, I hope we're not part of a big Ponzi scheme. But the company I work for was reputable. It's still a reputable company, pretty strong.
Got it.
And I was like, okay, there's helicopters, hurricane, and market crash. I made it thus far.
There are a lot of signs. What's going on? I need to get out.
Yeah, so at that point, I was like, look, if I'm going to stick it out, I'm going to stick it out. It's only going up from here, right? And that's the truth. That's what had happened.
What's the constant struggle? Like the entire time that you've been an entrepreneur here, what is like a constant struggle from 1 week, from 1 month to like, it's just there. It just doesn't ever go away.
For entrepreneurs, for me, it's always, my struggle is passion, in the sense of I have to remind myself, why do I do what I do? Okay. And everybody gets it. And I think as long as I go back, it's always, it happens to me sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes weekly. There'll be months where I go where I don't even think about, there's no struggles. There's struggles.
Great. Everything's awesome.
Right? You're going to always come across obstacles, but you just handle it. But when you lose sight of that vision, that ultimate passion that you have,
right?
Why do you do what you do? I think that's when it starts becoming really hard.
Got it.
And no matter how little the problem is,
not having a vision in place.
Exactly.
Or losing
sight of that vision. For me, I always had my vision. I had my mission statement, and I knew what I do, why I do what I do. But sometimes I lose sight of that, and that's when no matter how small a problem or obstacle gets thrown my way, it just seems like a mountain of a problem because I forgot why I do what I do. But then I remind myself and get myself back on track.
Got it. Now, besides maybe losing sight of the vision or forgetting it, what would be something that you would say that keeps you up at night, whether in a good way or in a bad way, any direction? What are your thoughts as you're going to sleep and you can't stop thinking about this?
As an entrepreneur, some of the things that keep me up is thinking about, okay, am I doing what I can do and using my time to the best of my ability?
Okay.
Right? Because I have a huge tendency of spreading myself thin. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can agree with me.
Okay.
Like, you want to have control over your business, and sometimes you're afraid to let somebody else help you.
Right.
And that's one of the struggles that I have is, and I didn't realize it until I got an assistant at one point, how much she could take off of my plate.
Delegation.
Yeah, exactly. And when I come in, I could focus more on what I'm great at, not on paperwork and things that don't really require, like, my time could be better spent elsewhere and focusing on my business, not just plugging away at paperwork that somebody else can take care of for me.
Got it. What would you say is one of the most important or valuable advice that you can pass on to a young entrepreneur, not in just age, but young as in just starting off the business venture, the idea, the product, that's a service that they want to launch?
Yeah.
What is like one biggest thing that you would tell them to keep in mind at all times?
First of all, if you're an entrepreneur, identify why your mission statement, why you do what you do, or why you're going to do what you do, why that particular field. Because truth of the reality is, you can make money anywhere, in any industry. Why would you pick this specific industry, and like, why you, right? What do you have to offer as opposed to the person next door, right? So
what's your competitive advantage?
Yeah, so it's when you look at it from that standpoint, once you identify why you do what you do, your mission statement. My ultimate goal is to become an asset to my clients.
Okay.
Right? To offer them solutions. I always tell them from day one, my job as an advisor is to empower, educate, and equip my clients with the right knowledge, tools necessary to make the best decisions when it comes to their financial future. That is something I have to constantly repeat to myself. And I know that like the back of my hand, because I know, okay, when I sit in front of a client, this is what I'm identifying for them. Like, there's problems. Now I'm empowering them to solve those problems. And I'm the right person to do it for them.
Got it. Everybody that is an entrepreneur, a business owner, everybody has this one thought in their mind that one day, ... You know, you tell your mom or your dad or your friends or anybody that's close to you, you make statements such as like one day, and then there's always like a ... So what is that one day for you in mind?
That one day for me is to get my business to a point where I could bring in, I want to ultimately be a mentor.
Okay.
Bring in advisors under me and teach them what I've done that's made me successful, and help them to build their practice that way as well. And hopefully become a big unit in the sense that everybody operates with integrity the way I do. Okay. And we offer the best solutions for our clients, and get it to a place where I can take a step back and have somebody, a successor, run that and run my practice, and have other mentees under him, like run the practice for me, and that'll allow me to kind of venture out. I want to see what other areas that I can get my feet wet in.
Okay,
right?
So that kind of sort of ties into maybe your exit strategy. Like, how do you get out of this business? We know how you got into this business, the good, bad, and the ugly that you've had throughout your journey. But how do you get out of this?
So, funny thing is, I've always told my clients when I sit in front of them, their biggest fear is, hey, so what if you decide to leave the industry in a couple of years? What am I going to do then? I always have to reassure them that, look, one of my jobs, primary components of my job, is to come back and visit with you at least on an annual basis, if not quarterly.
Okay.
All right. And touch base with you, see what's going on. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Right. Because my passion is helping people and putting them in a better spot after meeting with me than they were before.
Okay.
Right? I want to be an asset to them. And ultimately, to exit, it would be, I would have to have it set up in a way where I have a successor that's worthy of my clients. That makes sense?
Right.
Somebody they can trust just as much as they trust me.
Got it. So ultimately, the exit strategy in mind is to sort of pass on your client to someone that you feel comfortable, someone that you might have mentored or groomed or spent enough time where the vision is the same or the values or the work ethics and all of that, it's right along with yours, and you feel comfortable saying, here you go, these are now the clients you meet on a quarterly, yearly basis as you've done so. Yeah. All right, got it. Now, going back to how we started off, right? So we talk about like, man, this guy's been a boxer, he's lifted, played, football. What is it that you do now in your weekends or anything that gets you all hyped up where you have fun and you enjoy doing outside of just workplace?
So always, at every point in my life, I always needed a goal to shoot at, right?
Okay.
And sometimes when you meet those goals, you want to always evolve yourself. You want to shoot for the next goal. So the goal that I have on my plate now is I want to do an Ironman, full Ironman in 2021.
Okay.
So that's so what that entails is I got to get my butt on a bike.
Okay. and this is road bike we're talking about,
road bike and be able to run. So the full Ironman what it entails is it's a 2.5 mile swim, 105 mile bike or 103 mile bike, and a full marathon run, all in a day's worth of work.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
and it's all you that's got to do all of those things. It's not like a tag team kind of a situation.
Yeah, you have it set up there. No, but for me to be an Ironman, I have to do it all myself.
You've got to do it.
Yeah.
What's normally the duration of all of that? Like 6, 8, 10 hours?
So
what are we talking about
you'll
here?
go anywhere from so it starts guns shoot off around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And you have until midnight to complete it.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 plus hours.
Yeah.
All right. Have you done this before?
So I could ride a bike for 100 miles, no problem. I'm getting up to the point where I could swim a mile comfortably in a swimming pool, but not so much in open water. The running part, I'll make it work. But bike, I'm fast enough on the bike to where if I get my time up on the swim, I could be okay. I could pretty much kind of just cruise control it on the run.
But what I'm saying, have you done this combination of all these items together ever, or is this going to be your first time?
Oh no! When I train, the way I train is I'll swim first, and then I'll ride the bike, then I'll try to finish off with a run. So you start off like there's a 5K triathlon. So now I'm starting to transition into the longer distance triathlon.
So you're building yourself up to it.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. Well, Jimmy, we appreciate you being on our channel today, giving our viewers insight about your journey through entrepreneurship. And we wish you best of luck. And we definitely look forward to seeing this amazing challenge that you're putting yourself up to besides being a successful entrepreneur. Thank you, Jimmy.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.